Good afternoon, everyone. What's up? It was like right at 2 o'clock that I went live. How cool is that? But thanks for joining us today. Today is one of our episodes, I was going to say, one of our webinars that we're going to be introducing and going over one of our departments. It's actually where I started here 20 years ago. We're going to go over the safety departments, and we're going to go over specifically onboarding, plates, and permits. As you guys may know, there are many different areas of the safety department. If you didn't know, there are many different areas of the safety department. So we're going to start at around 2:05. We had quite a few people registering. I see they're starting to fly in. So we're going to have Debbie Raymond and Chrissy Burns leading the way once we begin. So hang tight, guys, and we'll begin shortly. Hey everyone, I see more people coming in. This is Mike from training, and we're going to start in a few minutes. Welcome for those who are just joining us. Today is one of our series webinars that is around one of our departments, and today is going to be safety, onboarding, plates, and permits. So we'll have Debbie Raymond and Chrissy Burns leading the way in a few minutes. So hang tight, guys, and we'll begin shortly. All right, guys, we have about a minute to go, so start leaning into this because I see the attendance. We're getting close to who are as many as I saw that were registered. But again, thanks guys for joining us. Today's webinar is going to be getting to know the safety department a little more. Just a little high level. I started with Evans back in 2002, and that's exactly where I started in the safety departments when we were 4 people. So, and with a 2 week span for when I started, the safety department grew by 50%. Pretty sure if the safety department grew now, it'd be more than just 2 people. So we are going to have Debbie Raymond, who was actually probably the first trainer that trained me when I started, and Chrissy Burns leading the way and just really going through the Prezi that we have here about onboarding, plates, and permit. And there's only a few of the many areas that we really provide resources and guidance within the safety department. So, Debbie and Chrissy, you may have the mic.
Hi, I'm Chrissy. I'm the qualification manager for the Evans Network. And we do onboarding for trucks and drivers in our Schuylkill Haven office. And I have with me Deb, and her team handles plates and permits.
Hi, everybody.
I hope everybody's having a good day. So we weren't sure where to start, so we thought we would just sort of talk about the teams and the systems that we use. So we'll talk onboarding first, and then Deb will talk about plates and permits. And then we will open it up for any questions that you guys might have at the end. Yep, introducing the teams and the systems. So our first team that I'd like to talk about is our new agent onboarding team. So this team works with our agent onboarding team in the sales department. They help newly signed on agents navigate our systems and processes. This team processes applications, runs background reports, employment verifications, and they do document collection for drivers. They process lease and truck documents and basically help the new agents learn about the Evans network. Once new agents learn the ropes, they transition to our app status and our welcome box group. You can put the slide there. All right. So our safety app status and our verification team. So we've got Karen as our supervisor and Rachel, Laura Mengel, and then our folks who do verifications are going to be Leslie, Emma, Carrie, and Kara. I did forget to mention that our new agent team, our supervisor is Lauren Bensinger, and her team is Julia Blue and Kelsey. But back to our safety app status folks. So the app status team. So this is our first line team. This team is responsible for the applications being processed in the Schuylkill Haven office. And these are agents not handled by the new agent team. This team's primary goal is to get the applicant from the new status to approved for drug test status. This team reviews the initial application, runs background reports, and processes employment verifications. An applicant is approved for drug tests once the minimum eligibility guidelines are met. This includes employment verifications. Once the guidelines are met, the applicant then transitions to our welcome box team. So our safety welcome box team, our supervisor there is going to be Deneen Seeger. If you guys have been with us for a while, I'm sure you guys all know Deneen. And her welcome box team is Ange Emery, Dawn Yost, Lynn Shaner, and Shannon Strickland. So the safety welcome box team's primary goal is to finish collecting driver paperwork, lease agreements, and trainings. This team works with the plate team if the truck owner is participating in our plate program. They also provide vehicle insurance certificates. They provide information to the settlement team and ELD equipment team. Once documents are collected, plates and insurances are issued, this team is going to put the welcome box together for overnight delivery. Go ahead, Mike. Thanks. Vehicle insurance and transfers. So vehicle insurance, that's also headed by Deneen. and her team members there are Kim Grape and Sam Thompson. They're part of the Welcome Box group. The safety insurance team assists with vehicle insurance, so that's physical damage and non-trucking. This team does not handle the customer insurances. We're just strictly vehicle. Transfer team, we work with vehicle owner changes, moving drivers from one truck to another, moving trucks and drivers from one agency to another. And you might also see this team pop into the Welcome Box group when that Welcome Box group is busy. The last part of our Welcome Box team is going to be the terminations team. So again, that's going to be headed by Deneen, and Cheryl M. Schweiler and Jen Neifert are on that team. And this team is going to process exit reports. They send out exit letters and they cancel trucks and drivers in all of our systems. So we're going to talk about systems next. So safety for the onboarding side, we have two systems. We use 10 Street and we use Driver 360. So we'll talk about 10 Street. So remember, 10 Street is going to be driver only. And this is the website we use to process driver applications and the driver's onboarding documents. The users are going to be agents, safety app status group, Welcome Box group, and the new agent team. All agents have their own link to provide to potential applicants. The agent provides the link to the driver. The driver fills out the application electronically, and then the application comes back to us through 10 Street. Agent and onboarding teams have visibility. So when you open up 10 Street as an agent, or I see we have some corporate folks on there as well. The first thing you're going to open to is our home page. Up at the top, you see Express, Home, Search, Work List. There's a quick search on the left-hand side, which you can see there. So you can do a quick search by first name or last name or social for the driver. The quick search is going to allow you to pull up applications or applicants rather to view their profile. Okay. Work list. So that's usually where I go if I want to view drivers. So every agent is going to have their own work list. And you can see you'll have a big long list of your drivers. You'll be able to see their current status. And the status is going to be updated by a member of the safety department as progress is being made. That list that you see there, that work list, you can sort and filter. So that will allow you to sort by date or by status or by driver name. You can click on a driver in that list. And when you do, it's going to pop open that profile, which you can see on our slide there. When you open up the profile, you're going to be able to view notes. You'll be able to see the status and all that good stuff. Okay. So our applicant profile. So up at the top there, in that blue circle, you can see there's a few things there. So there's a red circle with a pulse going through it, and that's the pulse icon. So that means the driver has downloaded the Pulse app, the 10 Street Pulse app, and you can communicate with the driver through that Pulse app. Next to that little red circle, you'll see the person icon, and it'll give you like a quick profile and work history. And then next to that, you see a little video camera. So you could, if you wanted to, do a video chat with your driver. And then that big section in the center there that has the orange circle on it, that's where you're going to find your notes on the applicant. So if you're used to going into Driver 360 and looking in the comment box for the notes, that big section right there is going to give you all of that basic information. If they're pending, approved, denied, and what sort of things are needed. Okay, Mike. You can send documents to your drivers through 10th Street. So they'll go to the driver can complete them electronically, and they'll pop back to us right through 10th Street. To send out the bundle pack for the drivers, you want to go to the process section in that dark blue toolbar. So you'll select process, add process, and then you want to schedule a communication with the driver. And then we put together a bundle pack. So that's going to include application part 2. The driver can also do security awareness and orientation. That's going to be in the bundle, and they can send their CDL, their social, and their medical. So when you click assign, it'll all get sent out to the driver. And then, Mike, if we go to the next slide, you're going to be able to see everything that was sent to the driver. So if you are in the driver's profile, and then there's that highlight of our app view, there's a little triangle next to it to give you a drop down. You'll click the drop down and select subject task. That will produce like a checklist for you. So everything that you send out to the driver, you're going to see listed there. And as the driver starts to complete their items, if they sign off on forms or upload a copy of their CDL, you're going to see check marks fill in next to those items. Okay, Mike. Now, let's say you have a driver come into your office and they want to add a document. Maybe they're having trouble. You can go ahead and add a document into 10th Street, and you do that from the document tab. So you'll select document in the blue header, add a document, and then the system will allow you to drag and drop or browse for a document. You can put a label on the document, hit save, and it will populate into 10th Street for us. Okay, Mike. Let's talk Driver 360. So if you're an agent and you've been on with us for a while, you're pretty familiar with Driver 360. Users are going to be agents, safety app status, any of our groups here. So Driver 360 is going to allow you to scan in completed tractor lease and sign-on forms. You're going to be able to use it as a visual dashboard to know what you need for the onboarding process. And it's also going to let you know if any documents or anything like that have been rejected. Okay, Mike. So the sign-on status screen, that's your main working screen in Driver 360. So you'll be able to see the driver in process. This is where you're going to be able to enter your trucks. You're going to be able to add truck documents. And this is going to give you that visual dashboard for seeing what do we have and what do we still need. Go ahead, Mike. So 10th Street, where we collect our driver documents, connects with Driver 360. So as documents are added into 10th Street, you're still going to have a visual in Driver 360 to see what's going on. So in our case here, as you guys know, most of your drivers are going to start out in the status of pending. So you'll see the driver information in Driver 360. You'll see the squares fill in. You can hover over the driver's name in Driver 360, and it will let you see the 10th Street status. I would go to 10th Street for the most current notes on the driver, but they are still listed in Driver 360 as well. So if you click on the driver, you'll see notes about the driver in Driver 360 as well. Okay. So once the status in 10th Street is updated to approved for drug test, that checkpoint is going to turn green in Driver 360. Again, if you hover over your driver name, you'll see what the status is in 10th Street as well. And then you're going to see, like I said, as documents are added to 10th Street, the squares are going to start to turn yellow, and you'll have that visual indicator of what items we have and what we still need. Okay. How do we add a tractor in Driver 360? So that driver information is going to be in there from 10th Street. And then right below the driver name, you're going to see that Add Tractor button. You can select the Add Tractor button, and it's going to allow you to put the tractor VIN in and then create the profile for the truck owner. Okay. Creating a tractor profile. So it's you're going to be able to enter the basic information like year, make, color. And then you're also going to be able to add that owner information to the tractor profile. Go ahead, Mike. Once you sort of get to the bottom of that page, you're going to see the onboarding comment box there, but you're also going to see that submit button. The submit button is going to take you to the document scanning screen in case you guys haven't done that yet. So go ahead, Mike. When you get to the document scanning screen, you can scan an individual document just by clicking on the icon. It'll open up a document scanning screen for just a single doc. You can also use batch scan or batch upload. The batch will allow you to use the barcodes on the document, and you can put a bunch of documents in the same scan or upload. And the system will be able to sort of read the barcode and classify the document for you. So if you haven't tried batch scan or batch upload, give it a try. And I think, you might like it. You can't break it. So all good there. So go ahead, Mr. Mike. So our final approval. So when we're looking at our driver on our dashboard and we see everything's green or gray all the way across, or we're getting close, this means, we're getting ready for our box to go out. Our goal is to have all of the items filled in on the sign-on status dashboard. Our partnership with the agent is going to be key here. We rely on and welcome emails letting us know that the last item has been scanned and the box might be ready to go out. Our team here, we say around noon till about 2:25 Eastern Standard Time. We call that rush o'clock. And that means we're getting bombarded or we're getting an increase with emails and documents coming into the system because everybody's getting ready for their last minute items for boxes. Go ahead, Mike. So what happens now? So we get that notification that the box is ready to go out. We're going to send out that supply box for your truck or your driver with placards, binder, ELD, IFTA handbooks, etc. We're going to enter the truck into driver into all of our internal systems here, and the driver will get added to UIIA. By this point, you've already been in contact with the plate team to set up your new registrations. And now is the perfect time to contact your permit team. So with that, I'll turn it over to Deb and she can talk plates and permits.
Thank you, Chrissy. Welcome everyone today to meet the departments. Segueing over from Chrissy's onboarding team, she had mentioned earlier about the trucks that would need our plate. So that team is Carolyn Catranis as supervisor, Karen Strickland, who primarily assists with West Motor Freight and Packer Transportation plates, but also assists with some of the Evans agents, Tammy Warner, and Jill Davis. Go ahead, Mike. So I thought I would hit on some high-level items that are kind of roadblockers sometimes that create delays and are a lot of questions that come up. And one of those obviously surrounds what does the state of Indiana need so that we can expedite getting that registration processed for your truck. So the 2290 is key. Many of you have seen, if you've been with us for years, our partnership with Express Truck Tax. That's a link that helps you do that online. It runs July 1 to June 30th every year. If a truck owner doesn't submit his filing before August 31st, then the IRS department will consider that a late filing. They will often get a letter a couple months later saying that they owe another $150. So we're trying, nicely to assist them, to remind them with emails, links, and anything that we can do to try and help move that along for them. We're glad to answer questions. Over in the image there, you can see I've redlined some of the key things that Indiana is going to look for when we submit that document to them. They've been very difficult as far as what they're accepting here recently. They want to see a very clear e-file stamp. If it's faded at all, a lot of times it's rejected. So we always suggest, if at all possible, that when that PDF is downloaded from whichever online service a driver may use, to forward that original PDF document. When these are printed and then rescanned, that e-file stamp becomes lighter and it's really difficult then when we send it to them for them to approve it. And, again, at the top of that image, you see the filing period as of July 1 this year. It's the new period for 2024 to 2025. We absolutely must have that. Sometimes if a truck has just come on board before a registration period or a 2290 period, I should say, they think they've already given that to us, and here the new ones already do. So sometimes you might see our emails that say we need the most recent one. So that's a little bit on, the key for 2290. Again, the weight has to be the V category for the 80,000 gross vehicle weight. It's very difficult to get them to accept one that's exempt. A 2290 doesn't need to be filed for a truck that's registering that they will never haul combined gross vehicle weight of 54,000 or under. But again, that's usually very few and far between. And then the front and back of the title. Again, when we say finalized, that means that that new owner's name should be printed on there. There should be no handwriting, no adjustments for lien holders signing off. And if we don't have that front and back that's clear, again, Indiana will reject that application for registration that we send them. One of the key notes that I like to remind everybody is that if you're sending us the lease agreement, make the front of that lease agreement match how the title is written out. I like to use the term connect the dots. Indiana wants to connect those dots within all the documents. They want to be sure that those names match. So if they're signing one way and there's a business name on the front page, they'll question us. If you could go ahead forward for us, Mike. And that's where we have two other things that come into play if we don't have that finalized title. One can be an application for title receipt. Again, Indiana is very particular. an application for title receipt has to have all those same data elements that the title would contain. If it doesn't, they're not going to accept it. The other thing that they need is for it to be as recent as in a 45-day range. Outside of that, their expectation is there should be a title. Sometimes that title has gone to a lien holder, and that's where, we may instruct the truck owner to say, hey, you're going to have to reach out to them and get the copy from them then, because Indiana is going to expect us to, to supply that rather than that application of title receipt. And again, getting back to the lease agreement and that little hint that I've given you about the naming on the lease matching the naming on the title. If they want to push back and they want the support of who that person is signing the lease agreement, because of the business name, that's when you hear the team ask you for articles of incorporation or your LLC filing. They want to, again, connect the dot of the person that's signing, whether they have the authority to sign for that business as the owner, president, however that titling may occur on those business documents. If you could move forward, Mike. And so after we know that we have all those documents, oftentimes we get questions about the submissions, and we may be sending emails back about corrections that are needed. The reason that we have to be so strict that way is because we have, 50 or more a week that we're processing to Indiana. And if we submit something and they reject a document, that's going to suspend our account. And then that affects everyone in the pipeline. We aren't not able to do any transactions. So while we do get a lot of pushback about questioning that, well, the 2290 isn't due until, the following month after the bill of sale, we have to explain that it's our policy because of our account with Indiana. That's the expectation. So just, to help out with that question that's often coming up. And so then we get to the point where we're actually spending the money, going into the Indiana portal, putting all of the information in, and Indiana is very tech oriented and up to date. So that allows a pop-up for the 45-day temp in addition to the actual final registration. So I want to mention that, even if we have a hard plate that would go out in the box, you still need to carry that 45-day temp to support that plate, because if perhaps a unit is pulled over and they run the registration, it may still not be updated in the system. And that's why that 45-day temp supports what they're carrying. So very important to not ignore that document. And just a quick mention, within our DOT numbers and our agents out there, the West Packard units, that IRP account, those registrations expire on September 30th every year. And for those that are under the Evans IRP accounts, they just coincidentally run with the calendar year and they expire at the end of the year. So we mentioned about the 2290s. Of course, right now we're in the throes of the West renewal, and Indiana is expecting those brand new 2290 periods. So it's a quick flip. So anything that you can ever do to assist us in encouraging the truck owners to get that completed as soon as possible, we really appreciate that. Evans has a little bit more leeway, as you can see, because we're going to be submitting that the end of October, beginning of November. There's close to 4,000 plates just under the Evans account. So, again, anything that you can do right now to remind them to get those 2290s processed will help us, because any unit that we don't have that 2294 gets deleted from the renewal. And we have to remind everybody that it's like sending in an application for everything all over to Indiana. So we can't go searching for all those past documents. We will require them to be submitted to us again new. And again, we apologize for that, but you have to understand with that volume and going backwards, it's just easier if they take care of the 2290 and we don't have to go through deleting them from the renewal and then adding them back in. Okay, Mike, next. So now we're going to move over to the permit department. Karen Severchek is the supervisor. Heather Homa and Abigail support the permit teams as well. And next, Mike. And we're kind of, again, high level. We're doing the hazmat federal registrations, the hazmat state permits, which sometimes you'll see that hazmat alliance permit. That is for the states of Michigan, Nevada, Oklahoma, and West Virginia. California and Colorado also require a hazmat permit, and so does Idaho now. Idaho, for the most part, will allow you to purchase those at the scales. Many of you are aware that this past year, Connecticut joined the weight and distance tax states. Connecticut's a little different than the Kentucky, New Mexico, New York, and Oregon in that we have an evergreen permit. So that a copy of that is put in the driver's binders. And what we have to do is quarterly upload a data set to do the tax filing that includes the VIN number and plate information. So a little bit different from the other 4 states where right away we register the unit, and some of them actually give you a little type of a permit to carry. Connecticut, it's evergreen. We have a copy of it. And so all you need to do is ask our team and we can provide that. But again, the other 4 states, you're going to have to let the team know if a unit needs to be registered in those 4 states. We don't automatically place every unit and into those registration portals. There are a few states that won't allow third-party permit services to do annual blanket overweights, Pennsylvania and Maryland. So that is the reason that the corporate office can handle Pennsylvania and Maryland. Otherwise, all other states that offer the blanket overweights for sealed containers, we partner with Comdata. Comdata, we have a structure with some very, very basic fees, 23, 20, and 15. You have to understand that that gives us a central reporting location, a way to keep the history. They've developed that portal, so we don't want to reinvent the wheel. You can call in by phone, give your agent code, let them know whether to charge the truck or the agent. We receive the batch of invoices every week and we pay those, and then we send that information to settlements as per your reference, either in the system or by phone. So again, we appreciate that, Comdata sometimes gets a bad rap, but we have a dedicated team there. And if there's ever any concerns, please reach out to me 24/7. I'm available. Comdata wants to know, right away what they can fix. They can't fix things that they're not aware of. So I will always be glad to be the advocate and reach out and help to speed things along if possible. I know that when our insurance flips every year in June, that affects a lot of you, and there's a lot of volume going through, especially with Georgia sealed container overweights. And for the most part, things go right, but sometimes, even though we've been as proactive as possible, in getting mailing addresses and things like that, we can be at the mercy of the delivery services. But we do our best to jump in and figure out how to assist you with that. So again, if you've never used the Comdata portal, they're always glad to schedule training with you. Or if we can assist, please reach out to the team and we'll be happy to intercede there however we can. Next slide. And so some folks aren't aware that we do, for those that use our company plates, have a program with BestPass. That toll transponder is what they call an all-in-one now. So anywhere nationwide, the transponder is programmed to meet those signal configurations for that radio frequency equipment. And for the most part, if a driver is using that transponder, they're going to get those deeper discounted rates for using the transponder. Please be aware that anytime we issue a company plate, the very first thing that we do is we enter that plate into that BestPass portal. That essentially is how we manage the toll payment. So if a truck owner would have their own transponder, um, and maybe that signal gets interrupted, or they're in a what is called now a toll by plate jurisdiction only. They're using cameras on gantries rather than the radio frequency equipment. It's going to default take a photo of that front-facing plate, and they're going to see if that plate is attached to a toll payment account. So think of our program as a safety net. We had, hundreds of paper invoices coming in many years ago. We had to open them, figure out for that date and time what truck had that plate. We had to code it. We had to go online and pay it. Then we had to submit it to settlements. With the Best Pass system, those charges that post to the account, um, I can download that into a data set, scrub the data for anything that's missing or may need to be fixed. And then weekly that gets uploaded into the EBH settlement system. And so now in the detail section of the settlements for the truck owners, they can see the date, time, the plaza location, and the amount of the toll for every transaction. So no longer is it a guessing game over what that toll is for. Now, we still have other departments that handle tolls, the equipment lease department, and of course, the per diem department. We term that the rear-facing plate. So a toll, when it can't be read on the front-facing plate, it's not clear enough, that software will then do a search on the rear plate photo. They're the ones that usually are traced back to that equipment owner that may be an equipment provider. And then they do the same thing that I just spoke about, where they have to research it, figure out who to charge and bill, and they are the ones that go to the per diem department. So there are actually three departments that are processing tolls. Think of my team as the front-facing plate, the one that the tractor would hit on. And again, we do offer transponders only for those using a company plate. And any plate that is issued, again, please understand that to avoid all of the paper invoices and the tremendous volume of handling and the slow turnaround, as you may remember, many of you years gone by, that can be very frustrating. It adds sometimes $50 and $100 fees. And so this system avoids all those additional fees as well. And again, do misreads happen? Yes. Can a system misread even the plate number? But again, that detail is on the driver settlement. All they have to do is contact our department and let us know that they have a question about it. And we can begin the process of finding out, if there's a credit needed and how to pursue that credit for them. The transponders also can be activated for scale bypass, which over many years we had a lot of questions about that. So that's another benefit. But we've just rolled out recently, some of you may have seen the DriveWise scale bypass program. It also comes with what is called Safety Plus. So it gives you weather alerts, alerts for areas that have high accident rate, things like that. So it's a really nice value add-in to the ELD program. So those who have an OmniTrack device, that drive-wise now is again a nice value to add in. Any of the scale bypass programs, whether it be through the transponder and prepass or the ELD provider Omni and DriveWise, that's $5 a week. We don't charge for the toll management piece, but we do have to charge weekly for that scale bypass program. So that's kind of new. I thought I would mention that if you have any questions or you need enrollment forms or coverage maps, please reach out to the team. We'll be glad to supply that to you. And again, part of what our team does is a few other miscellaneous areas, basic supplies that the agents may need. We support the other independent contractors who may not be using our plate or may not be using our IFTA for the fuel tax program. We help them as a courtesy with mileage reports. But again, please understand that if they have their own plate or their own fuel tax account and they need mileage reports for audits, we're going to supply those out of the system, but those jurisdictions still require them to keep their own detailed documentation. Many of them are asking for routes to support, the mileage that's been presented. They're going to ask them for documents that support the routes and the mileage. And, some of the ELD does allow a GPS download. Many of the states and the IRP departments we're finding are now asking for those sophisticated GPS reports, and we're working on that as well. So that's another area that our department supports. Next, Mike. Okay, we've reached the end. We'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. Again, we hit on some really high-level items, and I've enjoyed working with Chrissy for, I think it's been over 14 years. I've been with the company 26 years. So I'm always an open door to help anyone that I can in any area that I can. Back to you, Mike.
All right. Well, thank you, both of you. Great stuff. Good information. I saw we had continue to have people join us. So good. It's a good topic to go over. So does anyone have any questions for Chrissy or Debbie? I'll kind of start it off. Now, Chrissy, with 10 Streets and Driver 360, there are two platforms to use to bring on areas. So to clarify, 10th Street right now is part one and part two of the driver application, right?
Yes.
Cool.
Correct.
And to bring on a truck, it's not in 10th Street and it's strictly in driver 360, right?
Correct.
Cool. And so, and uploading documentations for drivers, is that strictly in 10th Street or
It
is
is
that from?
strictly,
Okay,
it is strictly in 10th
cool.
Street.
Good stuff.
Mhm.
Good deal. And guys, we do have a video, a training video. If you want a refresher on how to maneuver around 10th Street, or if you're new to it, you want to get up to par with it, email the training department. We can send you a link to the training video of your side of 10th Street. Cool. Let's see. Oh, Debbie Lawrence. Love it. So does anyone have any other questions or any questions at all about the different areas of safety that we went over today? I'm looking, I'm not seeing any.
Everybody's shy. It's okay.
Oh, I did think of something, Mike.
Hit
We
me.
did forget to key in on some helpful notes about drug and alcohol
Oh,
pre-employment testing.
there we go.
Um, so one of the things I'd like to mention that can help expedite turnaround of those tests is try to get your drivers to get in there early in the morning.
Mm,
The couriers that pick up for the Quest Lab specimens, They usually, on average, are picking up at these clinic locations at about 2 in the afternoon. Then they have to gather all those at another location. They start to package them, believe it or not, on pallets so that they're either going by truck or air to whatever that area's regional certified lab might be. When they reach those certified labs, they then are unpacked. They go into the system on conveyors, and that's when they use the term accessioned. So they're going through some very basic checks on the sample that they receive. They're obviously physically looking at them first to make sure there's no leakage, there's no missing paperwork. If they can see through the package that that's there and it's okay, it's going to go on to the next department. When they see it's a DOT, it's going to track over to that department because, again, there's special handling for DOT collections. But if a specimen gets missed because they go in late in the afternoon, it's probably not going to be picked up until the following afternoon. And again, if it makes it to the lab the next morning and everything is good, as I mentioned, with the paperwork and the seal and everything matches up, it's finally going to go to, the section of the lab where they're going to actually, test the actual urine sample and get a result out. We always tell the drivers be alert, in that process. We want to be sure that they're getting the right copy of the chain of custody handed. Some of you may be wondering, like, why is that so difficult? If you're old like me and you've been in transportation over 35, 40 years, you may remember that the chain of custody paper forms had color strips on the bottom. The red strip
Mm.
went to the MRO, the green went to the driver, the yellow went to the employer. Um, Now, when it's electronic, the nice part about the electronic chain of custody, as you can see, is they go in with their barcode and that populates that chain of custody for that collector, saving a lot of time. And then the driver signing on, one of the little pads. But when they print those out, they don't have that color to remind them which copy has to go in with the specimen. So sometimes when we're having difficulty and it's not reporting out, we'll ask if that driver can supply us with their copy of the chain of custody. And many times we'll see it'll say, copy number one that should have been for the test facility. And then that involves an affidavit that they have to get from the collector to correct and certify the information. And so that can add, 3 or 4 more days. It sometimes longer, depending upon trying to get a hold of that collector. So again, if you can get them in early, make sure that they're there before that courier picks up, make sure that, they're taking a look at what copy of that paper chain of custody they're getting. All those things really help to expedite a result reporting out. It's terrible to send them on a Friday. A lot of clinics are closing early on Friday. If something should go wrong and the driver is short providing enough urine specimen, they can't go, they're going to be instructed not to leave the building. Again, one of the frequent things that are occurring for us is refusal to test, the drivers leaving the premises. You have to remember that once that process begins, even if it's a pre-employment test, that process must be completed. They can't say, oh, don't worry about it, I'm going to go work for another company. It does not work that way. So if you can be proactive, if you're speaking with your applicants and you're working to get them set up, remind them, do not leave that building. Have them call me if there's any questions that come up with the process. Try and get them in early and try not to send them on a Friday because oftentimes if a specimen is sitting for a long period of time, that is what can change the pH level of that urine specimen and often causes us to have to set up another test because that result will come out with an abnormal pH. So I know I'm kind of running through that at 90 miles an hour for you, but if that helps any of you, just thought I would throw that information out there quickly for you.
Yeah, that's definitely good.
That was very good information, share. Appreciate that, Debbie. And everyone, this is recorded too. So if you would like a copy of this, we can make sure you get it. It will be published for everyone who is on here to access easily. But if you have any teammates on here that couldn't, or even teammates who couldn't make it, you would like them to get a copy, let us know and we can grant them access to it. So excellent stuff. Good stuff. And there was a question, what is the training department email address? I put it in there. It is trainingdepartment@evansdelivery.com. And yeah, you can shoot us an email for access to this or for that 10th Street video as well. Any other questions, folks? Going back and forth here, not seeing. I'm seeing people starting to drop off. Well, so I will say this then. Thank you so much, Debbie and Chrissy, for being a part of this webinar. Very informative. And anyone who has any questions, I will remain on here. I'm just going to go mute. You can ask away in here. Otherwise, thank you so much for joining us, everyone, and hope you guys have a great rest of the day.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
All right, everyone, thank you for joining. I'm going to close this out, and you should see the recording shortly. But if you have any questions, just email the training department. Have a good day, all.